Welcome back, Midnight viewers, to Yautja Fest. It's the one you've been waiting for. It is Yautja Fest Mark II. We have a bigger dressing room than the puppets. HP has joined me as usual. He's on our Predator journey with us. HP, how are you?
Oh man, I'm so good. I feel like everything has been leading up to this moment. When you mentioned to me the idea for Yautja Fest, excuse me, I had no idea the hills I was going to have to climb and the distance I'd have to walk, but here we are, ready to go with Prey.
Hey, disregard this, listeners. This is just a test. I'm leaving the network in February. All right, Prey. Let's talk Prey. It is the latest in the Predator franchise now, officially. Now, look, up until now, the direction of the series has really been based on whoever happens to be making the movie at that time, whether that was an edict from 20th Century Fox that they wanted a particular type of movie and then somebody came in and made it, or somebody came in and said, hey, let's do this kind of movie with the Predator, and they've done it. Now, obviously, that's the case here where somebody pitched, let's do this kind of flick, and they went for it. But this is the first time we have a filmmaker in charge who's going to be given multiple films. He's already made multiple films. There's 3 now, technically, and hopefully he'll remain in charge of the entire series. I'm talking, of course, about Dan Trachtenberg and his movie Prey.
Why do you want to hunt?
Because you all think that I can't. I saw a sign in the sky. I'm ready.
Maui, Nita.
There's something out there. I'm coming with you.
You can't.
I'm trying to protect you.
Protect me from what? It's time.
It knows how to hunt. I know how to survive. Whatever did this, I can kill it.
This movie was written by Patrick Eisen with he wrote the screenplay, but the story is by Patrick Eisen and Dan Trachtenberg, based on characters by Jim and John Thomas, as all of them happen to be. This one stars Amber Midthunder, Dakota Beavers, Dane DeLegro, Michelle Thrush, Stormy Kipp, Julian Black Antelope, and Bennett Taylor. And this was released on July 21st at 2022. That was the San Diego Comic-Con premiere. Mutt was released officially, and it was released in a few theaters, on August the 5th, Jessica's birthday, 2022. HB, was this your first time watching Prey?
It was not. It's interesting.
And away he goes.
Here we go. So longtime listeners of Yautja Fest will know that quite a few of these movies, I will say to Father Malone, yeah, this is the first time I ever saw it for this episode. This one, the trailers got me because so this is almost 40 years after the premiere of the first Predator, right? The first Predator was 1986. And here we are, it's 2022. So that's 36 years. I, like most people, this was sort of coming out of the pandemic a little bit, maybe not going to see as many movies as I'd want to, or I'd like to. I caught wind of the trailer. It looked interesting to me.
We were all
I
in a
thought,
haze because of the pandemic, and the entertainment that we were getting also seemed to be in a haze. Nothing was really clicking, nothing was really firing.
right, as I understand it, this
Even
movie
Bill
was
and Ted couldn't save us.
that's a story for another day. I got a lot of thoughts on that one as well. But as far as this is concerned, and I'm aware that this movie was made under the strictures of the pandemic. So that in itself is an achievement when you actually see the movie. But anyway, short story long, it was the trailer that looped me in. It just looked so cool after so many years and so many seeming disappointments with the direction of the franchise. Nothing really interested me. This sparked something because this was you often say, Father Malone, and with respect to some of these movies and things we talk about, why has someone not thought of this sooner? Why we've kind of gone to the future with Predator in some respects, but we've never gone to the distant past. We know that anecdotally through the comic books and just through various things that happen in the movies that the Predators have been around for a long time. But
We
why?
know
I
from Predator 2.
Right. So I guess I would ask you rhetorically, Father Malone, why did it take so long for somebody to come up with this idea? Because it's fucking brilliant.
To be honest, I guarantee you the idea was floated a long time ago. I bet Jim and John Thomas probably floated it right after Predator 2. And they said, no, we're not doing that. In fact, we're not making any Predator movies after that. But I don't think since then, no one has come in to really, we're talking Predator 2. And then the only actual dedicated Predator movie after that was Predator. And they were just excited to have Robert Rodriguez in a script that was ready to go, basically. So
Sure.
and after that, they got Shane Black, who not only has tie and that he was in and wrote a bunch of the first film, but he wants to try and take it. And now we're in the midst of world building and MCU and DC flailing around attempting to make their own. And they thought, well, Shane Black just did Iron Man 3. He's going to give us a whole new universe and give us a direction. And he tried, but it didn't really take and nobody liked it. And to be honest with you, that ultimate notion that the Predators are conquerors, I fucking hate it.
Yeah, I agree. And also, let's not forget that The Predator, the Shane Black movie, was 2010, correct? So now we've gone another 12 years without any kind of Predator movie being released. And I sort of was feeling like maybe the franchise had just reached its, had taken its course and there was no more juice to be squeezed from that lemon.
Good thing, I guess, because this is the ultimate example of good things come to those who wait. If here's my hot take on this movie. If they had made Predator in 1986 and then we got this only, no other mention of a Predator in popular culture until this came out, it would have been worth it. This is a fucking great movie.
Brilliant. In so many ways, brilliant through from the way it's photographed to the acting, to the story. The music is beautiful. This looks like a big budgeted Predator movie that takes place in the 1700s. I mean, what more could you ask for? It's just, it truly, like I said, I saw the trailer and it intrigued me, but I honestly don't know if I was prepared for just how good it was until I saw it, and it blew me away. It still blows me away. I watched it again in preparation of this episode, and I was still taken by it.
Tell us the story already.
So, as I mentioned, the story takes place. It's among the Comanche people in the northern Great Plains in 1719, and the plot really concerns a Comanche warrior, a female warrior named Naru, who is eager to prove herself to the rest of the tribe. She wants to be a hunter. She's being relied upon as a tracker and as someone skilled with medicine, but that's not what she wants. She wants to become a hunter herself. And there's this word for hunt that all of the warriors have to go through. It's called katamia, I believe. I'm sorry if I'm butchering the pronunciation. So
You'll get no help
she
from me there, sir.
so she's her older brother is Tabe. And he's
Tabe.
basically in line to be the new war chief. So she's in his shadow. This is all very relatable stuff. It's a sibling thing. She loves her brother, she loves her people, but she wants more. She wants to be more. She wants to accomplish more. And on top of all that, she has this absolutely cute fucking dog
Oh
named
my
Sari.
God.
And that's a shortcut to my heart right there. And I think you too, Father Malone. This
Good
dog is
Lord. I
awesome.
love this dog.
It's great. I mean, not here's the thing. From what I can gather from interviews, I guess the dog wasn't really trained. I think Amber Midthunder described the dog as a bit of a hot mess. The dog, when you watch the movie, it's not as if the dog does any crazy tricks or can do all these. It's just a very cute dog that responds to a few commands and makes its presence known. And it's just so fucking adorable. You just want to just squeeze it and give it kisses. Awesome dog. So that alone predisposes me to really pulling for this main character of Naru.
Yeah.
So,
Wait, let me
so
no no
anyway,
no.
so
Let me just speak to the brother sister thing because not only is it relatable plot wise, and you know what? Honestly, when it's described, it sounds rote, but it is not in any way rote what we're seeing here because we're first of all we're seeing a Native American tribe just portrayed in as is without any worry about the fucking white man coming in and explaining to us what's going on or anything. But to that point, the they are so casual and so familiar with each other that they really feel like family. I loved both of these people, these two characters, like right from the get go. That's hard to
yeah,
do, and these two are so charming, and it's so smartly written, and like I said, they make it feel contemporary while not making that feel anachronistic.
it does really feel like a real sibling thing. There's a lot of love between them. Here's ultimately, I'm no historian, but to my eyes, I feel like this picture was made with the utmost sensitivity to both the time and the setting, but more importantly, to the Comanche people in particular. It felt authentic. It felt matter of fact in that there's nothing mysterious or like the tropes of the mystical sort of Native American tribe. These are just people that are living off the land, doing the best they can and dealing with life as it comes to them. I just love, as you said, how matter of fact that all is. And it creates this brilliant backdrop in which the predator kind of inserts itself into this story and this culture. It's really, we're going to overuse the word brilliant, but I don't have a better word to describe. It's really quite amazing what they've done with the story here.
Yeah, not to jump ahead or anything, because I'm not jumping ahead because it's almost from the beginning. In fact, when the Predator ship arrives, that's when Naru's she spots it. She's the only one who spots it, and she mistakes it for a Thunderbird. She mistakes it for a vision. And what's great about that is this movie completely sidesteps the whole Native American mystical visionaries bullshit. The Oliver Stone, the
Thunderheart.
even Thunderheart.
Yeah.
No one's having fucking vision quests. No one's in the sweat lodge here. It's just she sees a ship coming down. And by the way, the reveal of the title, which is Naru standing atop a mountain peak, looking up with her tomahawk in her hand, and the no, you don't see the ship, but you get just the impression of it. But then the camera pans up further into the clouds, and the credits are the opening title is waiting there. I loved it, man. It's so invigorating. Like, when's the last time a title came up and you were like, "Holy God, yeah, here we go."
It's invigorating and it's foreboding because you know that this, what she's taking as this sign that she's ready for her great hunt, is actually a sign that this creature who we've seen its brethren lay waste to civilization after civilization through the course of all of these movies. So you're kind of left wondering initially, like, how are these people, how is this character going to deal with this technologically advanced killer in their midst? And I tell you, the Predator was not prepared for Naru. I can say that much.
Well, that's the thing. That's the great thing about this fucking title is look in that first movie, Predator is the Predator. Here, the Predator ends up being prey, baby. Yeah, you're right. He is in no way prepared for what's waiting for him on Earth. It's so fantastic.
It's so good. Can we talk a minute? We're going to get into the story more, but I want to kind of kick off by talking about the Predator itself. We often will bring up, oh, how'd you think of this Predator? How do you think he did? This to me is probably my second favorite Predator because this one seems so much more organic than the rest. I think by definition, this is a feral looking Predator. It's much more lithe and lean than any of the other Predators that we've seen in the previous four, five, six movies or whatever.
This is the
What was your
return.
impression?
This is the return of Gillis and Woodruff as the designers for the Predator. Their last one was Requiem,
Oh, right on. Yeah.
or was it no?
Hey,
Ripley very wisely has corrected me that the last one they did was Predators, where
Yes.
they did all these swole Predators, all the skip and leg day Predators, the triangular upside down Predator. I hated those. So it was a welcome relief we didn't see them in The Predator. But I agree. The design on this one is pretty fucking spectacular. And it takes one of their sort of earlier innovations to its ultimate step, which is turning the what were dreadlocks into basically hair now. It's so thin and so multiple, it becomes its own kind of character trait, like a cape on him, like a lion's mane. You're right, a feral, a much more less technical and more sort of biological threat.
Yeah, even the mask, the helmet that it has is it's not metal like we're used to. It's actually it almost appears to be bone. I think it's meant to be some sort of organic bony material, and that's where the it doesn't have a shoulder cannon yet, but it has those three distinct laser lights kind of come out of the mask, and it actually doesn't even shoot lasers. Like it actually shoots almost like arrow bolts or crossbow
Yeah,
bolts.
it's a projectile weapon. These remember, this is 300 years ago. This and another look. We're just going to keep saying it's brilliant, but I like when somebody thinks about the science of something. 300 years ago, maybe they didn't have energy-based weapons. Maybe they were just shooting bolts. Yes, the bolts were effectively laser guided or heat guided or far in advance of anything that we could potentially do, but I loved that.
Yeah, it's still got the spinning discs that come off of the gauntlet. But it does feel like a precursor to the predator creatures that we kind of have seen in the later movie or the earlier movies, I should say. But what's interesting is even it has these bolts that it shoots out, but at one point it kills one of the warriors, one of the Native American warriors. But then you see it has to go and retrieve the bolts from the dead body. It's not just it doesn't have an endless supply of these things. It's almost like it's like a bowcaster or something. It's just the logic of it, I think, it makes so much sense to me, and I was thrilled by it.
Yeah, it evens the score just a little bit between. Look, they don't have machine guns, so he shouldn't have a laser. He should have a laser guided bow and arrow, basically.
It's just attitudinally and just the way it moves. It's not this giant pro wrestler. It kind of has the badass quality, but even in terms of attitude, there's a part in this. It's this little sequence, excuse me, where it gets attacked by a wolf. This wolf, I don't remember the context, but the wolf sort of catches its scent and it attacks it. Now, normally, correct me if I'm wrong, but a predator will not necessarily attack you unless you are a threat to it. But in this case, it feels like this predator is sort of new to the idea of hunting and what should it hunt. And it essentially kills this. I mean, it's not really a poor wolf, but I end up feeling a little bad for it, but it kind of made sense in a weird way that this predator is the code of the predator doesn't feel like it's been fully formed 300 years before we see the first official appearance of the predator. I just thought it was kind of neat to see this thing acting just a little bit differently than we're used to, but again, making sense because this is an ancestor to the predators that we've come to know and love.
Well, hunting and predation are actual themes explored in this film. For the first time ever in the Predator series, we're looking at that as it actually applies to our characters. In fact, this is the first time we have a character who is a hunter who is not only hunting out of necessity. People need to eat. And this is impressed upon us over and over, like when they come back from hunt. So not only does she need to hunt, but she needs to prove herself as a hunter because everyone is saying she can't. So there's that. But then just in the nature side of things, we have them hunting a lion who has been hunting them. We get this snake who is like hunting a rabbit, and it
Yeah.
attempts to attack the predator, and because it knows something is there, even though it can't see it, and the predator kills that and then skins it and takes its little skull. There, oh God, what else is there? Oh yeah,
So
the rabbit is the coyote is chasing a rabbit, and
that's what it is.
the predator steps in, and then the coyote attacks that. The great thing about that is the coyote snaps at the predator, not knowing where or what it is, and it makes contact. And then for the rest of the scene, every time that wolf's mouth opens, you can see a little bioluminescent blood in there.
Yeah, it's great. I'm sure
Hey, let's
most,
put
if not
care
all,
into every fucking shot of this movie that I'm making. Let me actually consider everything we're doing before we do it.
it's all beautiful. And I'm sure most, if not all of those animals are CG creations. And sometimes it's a little more obvious, but for the most part, I thought all that stuff, the wolf, the snake, the rabbits,
The
there's things getting
lion.
killed everywhere, the lion, it all looks really good. A lot of care went into like just the effects work in this, and it blends so effortlessly into the world.
Is that all we have to say about the predator and predation? I'm just ultimately my
Well, no,
point is
there's
no. So you were saying that the predator maybe their code hasn't been formed necessarily. I think, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think who knows? Maybe this is just. You're right. This is a primitive version of them. He doesn't have a metal faceplate. He doesn't have lasers. He has his heads up display sort of bored into the skull of some creature he had killed.
Yeah, it's cool. And there's a lot. This Predator, I think, more than most others, he just has a flair. I think it's a conscious choice to make him a little more of a badass in this because I think the fight scenes are so fluid and great. Whereas mostly Predators will just kind of slash and punch and throw its way out of anything. But this one, we're seeing the Predator flip things in the air and bring them down into people's heads, and the weapons are all kind of cool and a little different. This Predator feels like more of a badass to me. And what's interesting is there's moments, and we've kind of seen this a little bit in some of the other movies, a touch of this here and there, but there are moments where you can see that there's almost a sympathy between the predator and Naru. There's a sequence where Naru comes across a whole herd of buffalo that have been killed and just to be stripped of their hides. And they're left there to rot. And it really deeply troubles Naru. And she says a little prayer. And she finds a cigar that we'll find out that these French trappers are causing all this mayhem. So,
By the way, that completely fooled me the first time I saw it. When I saw that herd completely skinned, I thought predators don't do that. What's going on here in this movie? And then she found this cigar, and I went, "Oh, fucking humans."
it makes sense. But then maybe 5 minutes later, the predator also comes across the same scene. And it's not like it vocalizes anything, but you see it pick up the cigar, and you know that the predators have this code of, killing only when it's in their minds a fair fight. So the predator knows that this is just senseless killing for the sake of killing. And it just creates this, it's almost like Naru and the predator are kind of two sides of the same coin in a way. They're both hunters trying to accomplish their mission. She wants to prove herself to her tribe that she can do this. And he is obviously on his hunt. He's trying to hunt the biggest and baddest predators that there are. And in this case, that's Naru. He doesn't know it at that point, but as I said, he's going to learn that through the course of the movie.
One last thing about the predator, and then we should jump back into the plot. And
Yep.
that is the invisibility cloaking has never looked better.
Fantastic.
It's great, like every fucking time he does it. And they do cool stuff like where particulate matter is hitting it and it's shorting out, or water is shorting it out. Anyway, I loved all of that. Where were we?
It does look great. It's almost crystalline in places. And Trachtenberg knows how to photograph it to really make it pop and make it look good. It's awesome. But anyway, story-wise, You had mentioned there's a lion that has menaced the tribe. So she and her brother Tabe go to try and with a hunting party to try to dispatch. Along the way, there's one of the other warriors has been savaged by the lion, but he's still alive. And she uses her knowledge of herbology to help save him. She has
Yeah,
this
you know what?
herb.
Can we just point out that before this, we got to meet the village, like when they
Yeah.
come home, and we meet her mom, who has been teaching her herbs, and we figure out that no matter what happens, as far as her wanting to be a hunter, she's still expected to do the sort of female responsibilities. She's supposed to go out in the mornings and collect the herbs, and she's supposed to do all the female shit while the guys are out there doing their thing, and then she can go
Doing
out.
hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sort of points to, in a larger sense, probably the best thing that this movie does for the audience is make you care about these characters, because we spend a lot of time early on with Naru, with her extended family, with her brother. So by the time the Predator has inserted itself in the story, we care deeply about all of these people, not just the main characters, but the extended people, the Comanche. So I think that's just such a it's elementary and it seems like it should be self-evident, but not every Predator movie takes the time for us to get to know the characters before they're placed in jeopardy. And I think that's vital here.
Only two have been successful as far as I'm concerned, Predator and The Predator. Like the characters in both of those I very much cared about. But when you stack the three against each other, not to start comparing them, but the first film is an action movie, and I love those characters in their action movie. The Predator is a goof ultimately because it's a Shane Black movie, so who cares at the end of the day? Plus, they're all dead. But here, what we've got is a serious movie with serious characters and in a fair treatment of them. And I'm never uninterested. I'm always engaged. When they're at the village, I'm like, okay, we can hang out here. I'm never like, let's get to the action. Where's the Predator?
Yeah, there's a potential version of this movie with no Predator where it's just a coming of age story with this woman, this Comanche woman, trying desperately to prove herself in the face of all these doubting people in her village.
It could be the biggest bear they've ever seen.
Right. This movie, like you said, you could have not even had the Predator, and this would be a pretty compelling story about these people at this time. But it's just so cool how it's so logical how they insert what should be this incredibly fantastical element, this alien coming down from some other planet hunting people. And not once do you ever doubt the logic of what's happening, even though it's a fantastic story. Fantastic meaning unbelievable, not like great. It is great, but it's
like fantastic tales of the unknown, like that fantastic.
Right. Like you can't and there's something about the reactions. There's a point at which, so Nauru is the one who is one step ahead of everybody else in terms of what's actually happening. Because they believe that, like, they find this guy who's been savaged by this lion, and she uses this herb that cools down his body so that he won't bleed out. That'll be important later in the movie. It's this little MacGuffin they throw in.
I love it.
And
it looks delicious, even though everyone who eats it like coughs and it like acts like it's the most unappetizing thing. I still want some.
It's orange something. I don't recall the name of the herb, but it's this herb that she can use to help people not bleed out. But they're all focused on helping this guy and bringing him back to the village. But she realizes, well, there's a reason why the lion left this guy. Like, her feelers are already up saying, something's not right here, guys. But everybody else discounts what she's saying. You're crazy. It's the lion. We'll deal with the lion. Even her own brother is like, we just have to deal with the lion. And they all believe that when and if the lion is killed, then safety will return to her tribe. So they she saves the guy's life, by the way. He goes back to the village. She goes to help Tabe dispatch this lion.
By now she knows it. Now she knows it's not a lion, but because they dismiss her, the hunting party dismisses her to go back with the wounded warrior, and she sees like tracks that are unusual to anything she had ever seen before, like kind of a claw bear. It could be a bear, but it's too big. And then they see claw marks that are way too high. And suddenly she knows there's a predator that outstrips that lion, and it might not be anything. And let's remember, she saw the Thunderbird in the sky, so she knows something's afoot.
Yeah. But it's satisfying to see because we're with her the whole way. We see things that that the rest of the people don't get to see. So we know that she's right. So the whole time we're thinking to ourselves, no, she's so when she finally does take matters into her hands eventually, it's so satisfying as a viewer because we are by then we want her to succeed every bit as much as she wants to succeed for herself because she's such a good underdog. She figures out this way. She's got this tomahawk and she figures out this way to tie a rope. She braids a rope and ties it to kind of the central axis of the tomahawk. And she's able to throw the tomahawk and retrieve it like something out of like Mortal Kombat or something. It's this badass weapon that frankly it probably defies the laws of physics, but it's so fucking cool to see it in action.
I liked that when another warrior found it, he said, "Your axe needs a leash." They thought it was a detriment. Like they thought she attached it because she was going to lose it, like a surfboard attached to your ankle. But the fact is, she had innovated that fucking thing, and it's going to save her life over and over again.
It's amazing. The fight scenes, which we're going to continue to return to, the battle scenes, the fight scenes, whatever you want to call them, are so well shot and they're exciting. And she's just such a badass because she's just a great hand to hand fighter. And some of these scenes are just beyond belief how cool they are. She's up there with John Wick. I'm going to say it right there. She is a badass of the highest order in this movie. And I wasn't prepared for how much of a badass she was going to be.
Are we talking about Naru? Are we talking about
Yes.
Amber Midthunder?
Well, both really, because you can't have one without the other.
That's true, but we can also include Amber Midthunder's stunt double, who does some incredible fucking shit.
Yeah.
There's an entire sequence in the plantation, not French plantation, during the French trapper sequence where it is 100% her stunt double in like every fucking shot, but she has so much hair and the camera at work is so fucking thoughtful that you'd never know.
You mean that the sort of quote unquote single shot fight scene?
Yeah.
You think that's all? You think that's all just her stunt double? Because I couldn't tell.
There's some Texas switching going on,
Yeah.
but it's mainly the stunt double.
Yeah. We'll get to the trappers, but so she goes to try and dispatch this lion and she ends up falling out of it.
Listen,
the lion has
before we get there, she ascertains the sort of the situation, sees that she's basically in the place where the lion had been making its home, climbs up a tree, and then the lion fucking shows up. Like she sees it peripherally, like running through this tall grass. It's great, and then looks down. As she looks down, the fucking lion is there in a second trying to get up at her. Scared the shit out of me. I've seen the movie twice. Scared me twice.
Well, it's her plan. She has devised the plan that they're going to go into the lion's den, as it were, and basically bait it so that it gets sort of moved into this tree, this zone where they're going to, so it's her idea how to take out the lion. Unfortunately, the lion has her cornered on a branch. The lion is advancing on her and she's backing up. The branch breaks. They both fall out of the tree. And then the next thing she knows, she wakes up in her village because her brother had to carry her back because she's been knocked unconscious. And then her brother comes into the village after that, the conquering hero. He's got the lion carcass. He's decapitated the lion and he basically becomes war chief at that point, right? He inherits the title of war chief. And of course, Naru is not happy about this at all because that's what she wants for herself.
Well, she wants to even be a hunter, and now she's being denied that because she had to be carried back from a hunt.
It's embarrassing. It's demoralizing. And eventually we see that her brother admits to her that, you know what, you're really the one who helped take that lion out because you devised the plan. When the lion fell out of the tree, you weakened it enough that I could take it out. So What if, I mean, it's actually really generous of her brother to admit to her, you would expect him to be this macho guy who's the war chief and blah blah blah, but he has no problem admitting that, you know what, you're really the one who should take credit. It's so endearing because he's honest about it. He's frank about the fact that, yeah, you are a great hunter. And he defends her even when the other members of the war party or what have you are putting her down and making fun of her hatchet with the cord on it and everything. But he says to them, she's a great tracker and she can really help us here. It's just so endearing. I don't know. I love that part of it.
Well, those two characters love each other, so that's
Yeah.
it's pretty great.
It's very, and actually come to find out that Tabe is actually, the actor is actually younger than Amber Midthunder. Did not realize that.
Didn't know that. I love both of them. I can't wait to see them
Yeah.
in more things, honestly. Here's two things that I thought of during that scene. The Tabe returns with the beheaded lion. My first thought was, oh, so the predator did that and he just found it. Because that's a fucking predator move to cut the head off that cleanly. The second thought I had was watching the tribe come together and then everyone celebrating. I thought, this must be what it's like in the predator society. It's the same idea, right?
They're celebrating the kill. Absolutely.
So it just makes me want to see more of these predators.
I didn't think of it in those terms, but there is a lot of that duality in this movie. And I'm actually
Well, just like
surprised
you
that I
said,
didn't think
they have this sort of mirroring between the predator and Naru that plays throughout, because there are times when I am on the predator side. This predator is a villain, by the way. There are times where I go back and forth during every predator movie where, either I like the humans and I want them to win, or I like the predator and I want him to win. Here, even though this is the most formidable predator, I think, probably ever. I mean, maybe the giant one's a little more scary because he's just big. But this one, I'm not on his side at any time until he runs into the humans, basically.
I agree with you there.
Not the humans,
just
the white people. That's who I meant.
the French trappers,
Yeah,
because I sort of was predisposed to maybe not liking him off the bat when I saw him kill that wolf. Being an animal lover, that to me kind of bothered me a little bit, even though, look, it's a feral wolf.
The wolf
The thing was
attacked
gonna,
him, man.
yeah, and it, like you said, it has that iridescent blood all over its maw. So it actually made. Look, I will also say this for the predator. This predator takes his fair share of licks. This predator is beat to shit by the end of this movie. He's been stabbed. He's had his arm cut off. There's predator blood everywhere.
He keeps
so
going.
he gets full marks for being sort of implacable in that way, unstoppable. And I agree with you that he reads as a villain until we get to the French trapper thing, which we can talk about. I do want to mention, though, one of the greatest predator reveals in all of the movies. So Naru has decided, after her brother gets war chief, she goes away. She realizes that this isn't going to end with this lion. There's something else out there, and she puts aside her normal female specific duties. And she
Oh my
says, "I'm gonna
God.
try to hunt this."
My favorite shot in the entire movie is her. All of the sort of female members of the tribe are walking toward the river to start their day, and she's walking directly against the stream to go do this.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Just the photography alone. I don't know exactly where this was shot, but it looks like the most unspoiled wilderness. Like, you can imagine, like, this could very well have been the Northern Plain in 1719. It looks brilliant. So she's on the hunt for the predator, and at one point she comes across a big bear that catches her scent. It's a great sequence where you see
my
the
God.
wind blow
So fun.
across her, and you can see, like, you don't see it literally, but you can see it wafting over to the bear, who sniffs the air. The bear basically runs after her, tries to attack her, and in the midst of all this, she's taken refuge in a beaver dam, and this bear is doing its best to try and dig through that and kill her. And they're revealed is the predator. The predator comes, they have a little battle, the bear versus the predator. The predator, of course, kills the bear. And after killing it, it picks it up and lifts it over its head and obviously, like, cuts it open. so that the blood comes down in a rush over this formerly camouflaged predator. And what you see revealed is the predator outlined in blood as Naru has probably a number of heart attacks and runs away. I love that reveal of the blood. It just works on a lot of levels to see this thing, just covered in all of this blood and revealed in all of its sick glory. It's an amazing shot.
The whole sequence is fantastic.
Yeah, it's
A-
heart pounding.
As you've said, like if there were no predator in this movie, that would have been fun. If she had just escaped the bear and then fought it again later, like that, this would just be one of the most exciting movies I'd seen in years. But then we've got a predator drenched in blood as some sort of baptism. Oh my God.
It's great. It's amazing. And they have a way. So then, another thing I love about this is at one point, so after this all happens, Tabe has sent a small group of a search party to come and bring Naru back. And they find her and she won't listen. So there's a fight and she ends up basically getting subdued. And they're trying to take her back, but they can hear the predator and they know something's up. But they have this way of
You
this
know
this
what? Before
hunting
you go
party.
on, they knock her out. She
Yeah.
gets knocked out a lot. And I just like to say, as much as I love this movie, could everyone stop doing that in movies? The idea of actually just knocking somebody out is very difficult, first of all.
Yeah.
If you think you're going to punch somebody in the head and they're just going to go, that's not how it works. Have you ever seen a boxing match? It takes a lot to get somebody to be knocked unconscious, which is their brain has to smack up against the side of their skull
Yeah.
really hard. A contra coup is what they call that medically. And the fact is, every time you're knocked unconscious, that's a little bit of brain damage.
Yeah. It's literally an injury to your brain. So yes, I could see that. I mean, it's become such
It's a
shorthand in
fantastic
culture, though.
transition for
Yeah.
filmmakers. And then they get hit in the head with the butt of a rifle, and then what? Where am I?
It goes black. Yeah.
You actually have to link the scenes. Sorry.
That is, I guess, yeah. That didn't occur to me, but you're right. And that is a problem. That used to be like a big private eye thing, right? He's always getting hit in the head by some palooka and he
Oh,
wakes
and then
up.
he wakes up. Yeah, like Mike Hammer is a vegetable by the end of his private
Yeah,
eye
it's brain
career.
damage. Well, what I like is that, after this search party has caught wind of that there's something out there, there's something in the way of having these 3 or 4 Comanche warriors that all have bows drawn as they're walking silently through the woods.
It's
It
beautiful.
is such a badass image. And they're so quiet and they just seem so lethal that you just have to believe, like, wow, these guys could go through anything except this fucking predator that's going to just tear through them like a hot knife through butter. But it's such a, I don't know, graceful image to see them with these bows drawn. And the Foley work is great because you can hear the bowstring tightened. And I don't know, it just seems so like we've been saying, if there wasn't even a predator, this would be really interesting to see them hunting and doing their thing. But
I usually say this in a crime movie, but I just love seeing professionals be professional.
exactly, that's the point I'm making. You said it beautifully there. It's they know what they're doing. These are trained, bow hunters, and that's what they do best. And it doesn't matter because the predator is just so far beyond them technologically.
Sorry, man. He's got
And
laser guided bolts.
yeah, bolts. And that's I mean, sequence after sequence. I keep saying, well, that sequence is great or that one. They're all great because what happens is that the search party is waylaid by the predator. One of them is basically like that 3 dot laser has the ability to kind of separate. So he shoots one in the guy's eye, one in his hand, and one in his heart. And then he goes over, like I said, and retrieves the bolts because, of course, he has to retrieve them. He's not shooting energy based weapons. And again, these are fierce warriors. They attack this thing with everything they've got. And it's almost heartbreaking to see them just be waylaid because you want to pull for them because they're so badass.
They score a
All
few.
of them. They do. Like I said, the predator gets his licks through the whole movie, and he gets stabbed and sliced and whatever. But ultimately, it's all for naught because he cuts a swath through all of these warriors. So she runs away from the predator, barely kind of escapes, but she is snared by a metal trap that we've seen earlier. Her dog Sari was also snared in a trap, and she rescues. But
It's a
these
fucking
French
bear trap.
trappers. It's a bear trap.
By
One
the
of the
way, yeah,
steel
now you
bear
mentioned it.
traps.
Her dog early on gets its tail caught in one, and then she frees the dog, and then we see that she's an herbalist because she puts some sort of paste on the dog. And I loved that scene because this is 1719 and she's never met a European and she certainly doesn't know what a steel chain is. So her reaction to it is
Yeah.
great, where she's just trying to figure out what it is and what it can be used for. So anyway, that pays off here because she finds herself.
It's true, yeah. She kind of picks up the chain and she's not really sure what to make of it. But so she gets snared by this bear trap, and these French trappers take her prisoner and take her to camp and put her in a cage, basically. And she realizes that these are the people that killed those buffalo from earlier. And one of them, this fellow Raphael, can speak Comanche. It has to be said, by the way, before I get into this, that this movie plays a little fast and loose with language, right? The example that I always point to is Hunt for Red October, where the Russians on the submarine speak Russian up until this point where they zoom in on one of their mouths and it sort of transitions into English, giving the audience this idea that, well, they're still speaking Russian, but you're hearing it as English now. This movie, there's no transition. Sometimes they speak Comanche, mostly they speak English, and I think it's easier for the audience to kind of figure it out. It's my understanding that there is all Comanche dub of this movie that you can watch. I don't know
I
where you'd
watched
see
it.
it. You did see it, okay. All subtitles. That would be a really clever way to watch it, I think.
I turned off the subtitle.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, you already kind of knew what.
Yeah,
what
of
what they're
course. I,
saying.
I
Yeah.
did have the advantage of having seen the movie previously.
Yeah.
Honestly, Joe Dante often says this. He'll watch a movie on an airplane without the sound on because you should be able to watch a movie without the sound if it's actually any good. And this is definitely one you can watch without the sound.
Sure. So she's imprisoned, and this fellow Raphael tries to reason with her. So it's clear that these trappers are trying to trap the predator. They're aware of the predator and they're trying to figure out a way to trap it for some reason or another, or kill it, hunt it. And Raphael is asking her for help. And turns out they've also captured her brother Tabe, and they end up essentially torturing him in the midst of all of this. And when the sequence,
they cut him up. First of all, listen, there's this really corpulent French dude who is the sort of main antagonist leader of this group. And he basically has to be restrained from shooting and killing her over and over again because she's not giving up any information. And then the implication, somebody comes up and whispers in his ear, and it's this really lascivious, no, keep her alive because we can rape her eventually. So these guys are bad fucking news. And then
they're really bad.
Their ultimate plan is they take Tabe out, cut him open, like bleeding him, because they don't know what the predator is. They just think it's some beast out there. And then they tie those two together in an open field on a fucking tree, like a dead tree, as bait.
Yeah. And it reminded me of the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, where
100%, didn't it?
You know, where that's it. They're helpless to watch what's happening around them. And that's what's happened to Naru and Tabe.
Don't pick up any weapons. What? Don't pick up any weapons, Tabe.
That's right. Keep your eyes shut. So they brought them out there, like you said, as bait for the predator. But the trappers, being, these evil, stupid people that we're supposed to root against, they've grossly underestimated the intelligence of both the Comanche and also the predator in particular, because they're expecting it to come in and, attack these helpless people on this tree. But instead, it knows to kind of outflank them, and it comes from behind as they're focused straight ahead. There's the predator coming from behind them, and it becomes this big conflagration and really showcases the sort of badassness of this predator. It has to be said, I've already talked about the tomahawk that can be like retrieved with this cable. The predator has this wrist shield that kind of expands and contracts at will. So it's embedded in this gauntlet, and it can become this telescoped shield. That was actually inspired by one of my favorite games on the PS4, which is the reboot of God of War, because Kratos in that movie has this thing called a Leviathan axe that he can throw, and then it comes back to his hand if you hit, R2 or something like that. So is the shield, because he has a shield on his wrist gauntlet that does the same kind of stuff that the Predator's does, which I thought was kind of a nice touch. I don't know. It reminded me of something, and then I read that and I said, "Oh, that's exactly what I was thinking about." Did you ever play God of War, that
I
version?
did, of course. Yeah, I
What a great
played
game.
many iterations of it. Yeah, the so it was actually directly inspired by that.
Yeah. That's as far as IMDb's trivia is concerned, it was inspired by it.
Well, I can't trust anything on IMDb trivia. That might be just some fucking idiot who likes God of War and went, "Oh, that reminds me of God of War. Then that inspired it. Let me add that." Click, click,
Could
click,
be.
click. Or maybe
Yeah.
we've seen an earlier iteration of a Predator shield, and they thought, what would a Predator shield look like if you could use it also as an offensive weapon? Because that's what
Yeah.
ends up happening here. He's being shot by muskets, which is hilarious, and he's sort of
Yeah.
taking it because he probably could, but then he's like, "Fuck this," and he pops out this little shield that well. At one point, somebody shoots him in the head, and a ricochet kills him.
Yeah, which is great because he's staring this guy in the face. It's a standoff. The guy's got a musket pointed right at his head, and the guy shoots and just ends up killing himself with the musket ricochets back. But so he's got this shield, and at one point he has a guy backed up against the tree, and he's got his forearm against the guy's head, and the guy, I think he has a gun that he's ready to shoot, and all the Predator does is kind of flex his wrist, the shield pops out and effectively decapitates both the guy and the tree behind him. And I think even like the Predator, they looped in him going like, "Ugh," like kind of grunting, like, "Oh, that was kind of interesting."
What? Yeah, again, my favorite moment from Alien versus Predator was when the Predator catches the little face hugger and he like shudders afterwards. Like any little moment of character, we don't get them all that often. So I loved that moment because the Predator was like, "Cool."
There's a
I
lot
took
of
his
that.
head off and I took this tree down.
Like he's disarming trappers with like hatchets and flipping them in the air and throwing them into people's heads. This is the only point at which we actually are behind the Predator, because we've seen how nasty and evil this trapping camp, how bad they are. So it's one of those great sort of sequences where you're like, yeah, just fuck them up, because we want to see, especially the corpulent one that you mentioned earlier. He's the one that we really want to sort of see get his just desserts. So during all of this, Naru and Tabe are trying to escape, but as you said, like Naru has realized, again, being one step ahead of everybody, that the Predator won't hunt them since they aren't a threat. So don't pick up a weapon, and the Predator completely ignores them through this whole
That's great. He's
thing.
just like dancing around, fucking killing everyone in the periphery.
Everybody. And at one point, so the Predator eventually walks into another bear trap, and the trappers like are exultant. They throw a net over him. You figure, okay, now they really think they've got the upper hand, but no, it lasts about 3 seconds, and he shrugs the net off. He shoots one of his own nets. I think we've seen this in another one of these movies, but
We've seen a
not to
type
this
of it.
degree.
Not like this.
This is brutal because he throws a net over a guy, and what the net does effectively is tighten endlessly. So eventually it tightens so much that whoever is inside of the net becomes just atomized goo, basically. It's a really horrific way to die.
Well, yeah,
It's
I mean, we saw this in Alien versus Predator, and one of the aliens, our lead alien, our lead xenomorph, was marked by that net. Remember, it like broke out of it because the acid ate through it before it made that grid mark on it.
right.
So
Oh,
yes,
that's
we've
right. Yeah, yeah.
so those do that, but not this was again because this movie is so much better than that movie. The effect is fucking incredible.
It's awesome. So finally, Tabe and Naru escape, and Tabe goes to get some horses, and Naru has got to go back to the camp that she was held prisoner in because her dog is still there, and she wants to rescue the dog. I mean, you know, again, I love this character. She's going back to this place because her dog has been held captive. So she goes back. And what follows is, we alluded to this earlier, it's this hand to hand fight scene that is meant to be a single shot. It's obviously cheated in a couple of places, but man, it is brutal. She just wipes out everybody in the camp, basically. And after freeing the dog, this guy, Raphael, who was the only one who tried to talk to her and reason with her. He comes stumbling back to camp because his foot has been cut off. He's stumbling back and he knows that she knows medicine, so he begs her to help him. And in return, he's going to give her his flintlock pistol and show her how to use it, right? Now, what I didn't pick up the first time through is that he has this metal object embedded in his stump, and it's this telescoping knife blade thing that the predator used. It didn't catch because it's sort of looped in a circle until she takes it out and kind of expands it at one point. But I don't know why I missed that the first time through, but
Yeah, we had seen the predator unfurl it earlier. We also,
we
by the
did.
way,
Yeah.
since we're dealing with this guy getting his stump taken care of by our lead, we get one of my other favorite, and I know your favorite sequences too, the predator repairing himself.
Yeah, we have to have that. Yeah.
Which in this, it's a kind of a paste that he puts on. And another great character moment. As he's putting it on, you can kind of tell him like, oh, that's smarts. Like
Yeah.
unlike most predators who will just like howl, like with like, I can take this sort of pain. This predator's a little touchy about it. Like, aye.
The only thing missing is there's always one weird aspect. We've talked about in Predator 2 when he's repairing himself, he has to like grind up like subway tile into a paste that he then slaps on his stump. We don't get that here. That's the only thing missing here.
Yeah,
that
he should have
weird-
like broken off the hoof of an antelope or something and added it
Right,
to the
something.
mixture.
just grind it up. I don't know. But yeah, that every Predator movie has to have that sequence where it takes a moment for itself, self-care for the Predator, and he kind of, fixes himself up before the final battle. But meanwhile, she's helping this guy, Raphael, and she ends up, he teaches her how to use the flintlock, and she gives him more of that orange herb so that he won't bleed out. And it reduces his body temperature to the degree that when the predator comes looking at the camp, it comes to the camp. She sees that it doesn't notice him on the ground, and that gives her this spark of, oh, he couldn't. This is the same thing that happens in almost every Predator movie. Like, Dutch figures out he can't see me because he's covered in mud. In this case,
And
she
then
knows
Adrian
that,
Brody figures out, hey, he can't see me because I'm covered in mud. And then finally somebody goes, hey, there's something else. It's cold. The temperature. He can't see cold.
right, smart.
I'll lower my body temperature and he won't be able to see me.
It's great. So she has that revelation. And what I think is great about this scene is that you think that he's going to make it because he just sort of lies prone on the ground and doesn't move. And you can see the predator's point of view, that you can kind of see the outline, but you know that he hasn't caught on that there's a guy there. But he's walking and he ends up stepping accidentally on this guy's
Great.
foot, which makes him cry out, which then attracts his attention and he's dead. I mean, it does no good ultimately, but it's just sort of funny that just by accident, this guy was discovered. I don't know.
Stab.
Yeah, dead, just gone. So, and then
But he did give her a flintlock that got one shot. And I like that she's constantly levying what the target is. Should I use this one shot that I have for the rest of the movie? I mean, not that there's a ton left of the movie, but she does make the decision over and over again. Is this worth it? Is this worth it?
Yeah, well, at least once she tries to shoot him and she realizes that she didn't get the steps all right because she shoots and nothing happens. And she goes,
Oh, that's true.
Crap. And then she's got to figure out where she went wrong.
Yeah, but that's when she's actually decided she's going to make the shot. Because at
Right.
one point she sees Frenchie like out like on some waterfall, and she's, I should kill him. I could kill him right now.
Yeah. So at this point, after the predator kills Raphael, Sari, the dog, comes out barking, and the predator turns, and as he's about to kill this little dog that we've become
Oh my
attached
God,
to,
it's the worst moment of the movie. I was so tense.
it's awful. But then Tabe rides in on a horse that he said he was going to get, and he starts attacking the predator. And he does a pretty damn good job of fucking the predator up. I mean, he basically is doing this thing where he's circling on the horse, he's stabbing, he's doing all this stuff. And Naru, his mask, the predator's mask, gets knocked off of his head when Tabe attacks. And Naru notices that the mask fires automatically whatever it's seeing. So when the predator makes the decision to shoot, It's the mask and the direction that the mask is facing that determines the direction of the bullet. Will become
She's
important
seen the
later on,
targeting.
as you know, Father Malone.
Yeah, she's seen the targeting laser dots in action before, so she knows if those are on, those are where the projectiles are going.
Yeah. But I just
Oh, and I
love
guess
that
we should
as
mention
she's going.
earlier on, she fell into a bog and freed herself.
Yes. And that's actually a very tense sequence. She's
Great
in the
sequence.
midst of her hunting. She falls into, I mean, it's not really quicksand, but the idea is it's
It's a
basically
bog.
quicksand. It's this bog, and she can't get herself out. And in a last ditch effort, she's got this axe with the rope on it, and she manages to pull herself out of it. That will also become relevant for the conclusion of the movie. I'm glad you mentioned that. So Tabe is still trying to fight off this predator while Naru is struggling with the pistol. She can't quite figure it out. And finally, Tabe tells her to run because he only considers him a threat. She's not a threat yet. And he is ultimately killed by the predator, giving her just enough time to escape, which is a sad moment because we've become very attached to Tabe.
I loved him, man.
And it's great. And it's such a wonderful bond, and it's really all up there on the screen. So then that evening, Naru and Sari, they spy that one super evil trapper, the real corpulent one that we keep talking about across the river. And this is where initially she gets the pistol out and she's going to aim to shoot him, but then you can see it dawns on her. She comes up with a different plan. She's going to use him to try and attract the predator. And this is really one of the more really a brutal moment, probably maybe the most brutal in the whole movie, Father Malone. So
Is it? I
she
loved it.
sneaks up on him. Well, it's justified, but it's still pretty.
Turnabout is fair play, and this is literal turnabout. That guy knocked her out and then used her as bait for the predator.
So she sneaks up on him and knocks him out. And then it's later and it's dark and he is woken up. But what is he woken up by, Father Malone?
Rats gnawing at his stump of a leg.
She's cut off his leg
Yeah.
to hobble him, basically. And there are rats that are gnawing on the leg in his sleep. Put yourself in that position. Like you wake up what you think is just some sort of nightmare, and you look down and there's rats gnawing on what was your leg. I mean,
I refuse to put myself in his shoes or shoe because I would never put myself in a position where I was keeping a native girl in a cage and then using her as bait for a monster. Fuck that guy. I'm glad he woke up with rats having a buffet.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting he didn't have it coming because he most certainly did. He's awful, and we're just waiting for him to get his comeuppance. This is only the start of that. So Naru is very calmly sitting by the fire and talking to him.
Okay, this is the only part of the movie I did not like because it's all
I like this a lot.
It's all the subtext of the movie. It's everything that we've already been watching and accepting of, like, you say I can't do this, I'm going to do that. You tell me I can't do this, well, I will. It's like, yeah, we know, man. We were on this journey with you.
To me, though,
subtext as dialogue is clumsy as fuck.
To me, I see it as we finally see how far she's come and what she's willing to do.
We just saw it. She cut off this guy's fucking leg and she's waiting for the fucking predator and she's going to take it on hand to hand. She didn't have to say a word.
That's fine. To me, it didn't bother me, but I could see where maybe it's a little bit too much. But
look, if everything else weren't so fucking perfect, I wouldn't care. That speech would not stand out in any of the Predator movies.
I guess I just found it sort of chilling because of the circumstance and because of what we know is coming, I guess. So
you see that in her eyes, man.
That's fair. But again, like I said, I didn't have a problem with it. But what she's done is she's put a rifle nearby and he kind of scrabbles his way over to pick it up. And as she's talking to him and basically saying to him, like, you don't realize that I'm killing you right now. Like, you have no idea. And he's swearing at her in French, and you kind of get a sense for what he's saying. And she eats more of that herb that makes the body go cold. And this is all part of her plan. So she gets cold. He's holding the rifle. At that moment, the predator finally finds them. He's been tracking them based on the blood from this guy's stump. And he's effectively holding a rifle at the predator. She knows that the predator will now consider him a threat and not her. And
This is
that's
how
all she
you leave
wrote.
somebody as bait, fucker. You put a
Yeah.
rifle in their hand next to a fire to a creature that sees mainly in temperature.
It's a wonderful sort of conclusion to the saga of this French trapper that we've come to hate so much. So after the predator kills the trapper, that's when Naru finally decides I'm going to use this pistol. So she gets way up close to the predator, shoots him in the head, which knocks off his helmet, and which she runs off with. And there's an analog to like what Dutch at the end of the first Predator movie, where he's crafted all these traps and he's figured out a way that he's going to try to beat the predator at his own game. So the predator continues to
This
track.
this is the elegant ending of Predators.
It is. It really is. So she has taken the bloody leg that she's taken from the trapper and she trails it to this bog, basically. So the predator tracks via this leg, this cut off leg, this amputated leg. And she then jumps onto the predator and just starts wailing on it with the hatchet. It's this pitched fight that commences, and she's getting more and more good hits in on this thing. I mean, it's really a battle. But to the movie's credit, never for one moment do you think to yourself, there's no way that this woman could do anything to this giant predator. We've seen so much of Naru. It's so believable, Father Malone, that she could take on the predator toe to toe and beat it in this
Well,
way.
what I like is that they never pull punches when it comes to him hitting her back. Like he will just fucking toss her away like a rag doll, and she has to take that, you know?
But it's brutal. At one point, she's trapped. He's got the shield, and he's
This is
got her
oh
trapped
what
between
I keep saying
rocks.
this is my favorite, but goddamn, what a good scene. Go ahead.
It's incredible, and he is bearing down. He's trying to cut off her head with this thing, and
She has
she's
wedged her
barely hanging
head
on.
between two rocks,
Right.
and that has slowed the descent of this blade, but he keeps shoving further and it keeps cutting further through the rock. It's awesome.
But then, and this is a move that I've never seen anyone do in these movies. She rips off one of the tusks off the predator's face and stabs him in the face with it, and then ducks down. That is brutal. That's hardcore. We've
Who's
never
the
seen somebody
predator?
do that. Seriously, I can't say enough about how formidable she is during this fight, during the whole movie, really. I bought into it, hook, line, and sinker. Finally, she maneuvers this predator back to the bog that you'd mentioned she's trapped in earlier, and she's carefully propped up the helmet behind the predator so that it's facing the predator when it's coming after her. And the predator shoots a bolt at what he thinks is her. He doesn't realize that the mask is behind him. The bolt takes like a left turn at Albuquerque, circles all the way back
Oh,
around.
it should be noted that the bolt gun you can just use in your hand. And if the
Yeah,
targeting system isn't on, it's just going to fly like a regular spear gun would. So he doesn't realize that the targeting system is on and it's on him.
yeah. So he thinks he's just gonna shoot her and that'll be it. But the thing takes a wide bank left and shoots him in the head, and that's it. Finally, she bested the predator. It's an amazing moment. So she carries the severed head of the predator back to her camp, just the way that Tabe carried the lion carcass back. And she also has what we now know is the famous Adelini pistol from Predator 2. This guy Raphael was Raphael Adelini, the inscription on the pistol. So that's a really awesome tie-in back to Predator 2. And she presents these things to the presiding war chief, and she tells them in no certain terms they need to move to more protected ground. They're not safe there anymore. And as a result of this, what happens? She is made the new war chief of the tribe.
What I love is that when her brother came back, his face was painted in blood, and when she comes back, her face is painted in bioluminescent blood.
Yeah, all that bioluminescent blood. It's fantastic. And what a great ending. It just, everything came full circle. She's finally got her due as the hunter that we all knew that she was. And it's fantastic. And then the credits roll. But that's not it. What happens with the credits, Father Malone? What's the interesting thing they do here?
Or are you talking about how they have it's not animated, but we get drawings of the characters while the credits are rolling. And then rather ominously at the end, it shows more predator ships like descending out of the sky.
It effectively tells the story in a Native American animation, like these sort of like drawings, and that's the final image is more of those ships coming. Even the soundtrack at that point has this sort of mournful, "Woo," like this idea that she thought that they're safe and that she conquered this threat, but oh no,
Or
they're
no,
coming back.
or she knew that there were going to be more on the way, so she's like, "We need to get out of here."
That also could be true also, but man, what an ending. What an ending.
I would like to mention one thing we failed to mention, which is the we don't get a predator self-destruct device in this, but we do get a predator mass destruction device that is so beautifully rendered. It's during the French trapper sequence. He leaves this little thing, this little device, this little mechanism, and three little balls pop up into the air and are hovering. And then beautifully, we cut to overlooking this mist strewn valley where Naru turns and watches, and there's a concussion that goes off that knocks down all of these trees. It's beautiful.
It
We
looks
don't know what
awesome.
happened down there. Is that a precursor to the explosive device?
I think we just chalked that up to being a more primitive version of I mean, it definitely killed whatever was in that radius. And the funny part of that scene is these like balls or discs or whatever they are that rise up. These French trappers don't know what to make of it. They're just kind of and you would think like they don't know what this is. This is the 1700s. This may as well be magic to them. And they just sit there and watch it and well, what's going on
You
here?
would too. So would I. If it
Right.
happened to
And
me right now, I would probably watch it. What's going on here?
at the very last minute, I think one of them realizes, oh, let's get out of here, but it's too late. And that shot from above, where all you see are the ripple, like sort of almost like lightning that ripples through that area, because it's all mist strewn and fog ridden, and it really is cool. And there's a lot of the weaponry for the Predator. We've talked a little bit about it. Is all really cool in this, and there's nothing that beggars belief for the time period. He's got like this sort of staff that can extend and break apart, and he can throw it like a lance or, do this kind of stuff. He's got the wrist shield. He's got, the mask that effectively has a targeting system integrated into it, but it reads like bone and not metal. It's great. I mean, he's just he's a scarier predator, I think, than most because he is so savage. I think he's a little more savage than the other predators we've seen. And maybe that part of that is the idea that maybe the code isn't quite as formalized. He seems to be a little bit more, savage and maybe not quite as bound by code as the others.
He is much more feral, but he does take the time to carefully preserve his trail. We get that
That it,
coyote, we get the coyote skull getting polished up.
yeah, that is a very, I mean, that's CG obviously, but that is that's kind of a gruesome scene because you really see all of the matter and flesh just dissolve away from this skull, and all it's left with is just the bone that he then hooks right onto his belt. It's really quite it. Again, it has to be CG, but it doesn't read as bad CG. It all feels pretty realistic to me.
Now, we rated the Predator movies previously in the last episode with The Predator. And what we ended up with was Predator, The Predator 2, Alien versus Predator, Alien versus Predator Requiem. I'm going to go first. Prey, Predator, Predator, The Predator, the rest of the list, basically. This is the best in the series.
It's a very hard thing for me to judge objectively. I would say this is the best made movie. It works on so many levels. Just the fact that, as we said, you could take the Predator route and it would still be a really kick-ass movie. It's it's hard for me to rate it higher than the original because there would be no Prey if there wasn't a Predator. But gun to head, if this is objectively determining which is the best quality made movie, I would have to agree with you. I'd have to go Prey first.
This does everything that first movie was trying to do, and it does it better. And it gives us characters and it gives us community, and it gives us a fucking, on top of everything else, it gives us a look into a world that is rarely shown in American film, which is a fucking travesty. Just the Native
Yeah.
American community on display here and played by Native Americans. Gasp.
There's a lot more going on with this. This compared to the first Predator, this is a pretty sprawling movie. Predator, the original, is obviously just mainly limited to those 5 or 6, special forces guys and the Predator, and it's almost claustrophobic in the way that it's just them versus this Predator. Whereas this, we've got nothing but open spaces. This is such a beautiful looking depiction of that part of the United States, and it's just so it's really apples and oranges, Father Malone. It's hard to make a direct comparison because they're such two different, very different movies. It's hard for me to decide.
That's
but
true.
I'd say Prey gets the win, I think.
Yeah, man. Alien and Aliens are different movies, but Alien is a better movie. I'm sorry.
It's fair. Again, it's no. I don't think it's a disservice to Predator that this is because Prey had the benefit.
We improved the formula. What are you going to do?
Yeah. That's the thing. Prey had the time and the history to look and see what worked and what didn't, and what can we try to reinvigorate the formula. So, in a certain sense, they were kind of traveling in the first Predator's wake. But I got to hand it to Dan Trachtenberg and his whole team of writers and filmmakers because they literally built a better mousetrap. It's incredible.
I can't say enough good about it. It's the one action film of recent memory that I've watched multiple times and still felt exhilarated during the action sequences and frightened in certain sequences and really responds to these characters. If you're hearing snoring, by the way, that's Ripley Jean, who has climbed into my lap and has decided to go to sleep.
Look, I finally had the pleasure of meeting Ripley Jean last week, and boy, I wanted to take her home in my carry-on luggage. She is more adorable than I ever thought she was. She's just such a sweet pup, and yeah, I'm trying to think. I can't hear her snoring, but I did hear her snoring then, though. Very cute.
Okay. Well, yeah, good. Yeah. She always has trouble watching movies with animals. And she certainly was alarmed for a lot of my rewatch of this film during the dog sequences, but she eventually calmed down and actually watched this movie. I'm not kidding.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. And was really concerned during action sequences. So I was just so proud of her.
We watched Clue when I was there, Father Malone, and I recall that a couple times during Clue. I don't recall maybe it was when it
was during the dog sequence at the beginning.
Yeah, that's what it was.
She had to leave the room at that point.
That's what it was. Yeah. I forgot about that part. Good stuff.
But anyway, if you haven't seen this movie, please, well, we just spoiled fucking everything, but if you haven't seen it, watch it. If you have seen it, watch it again. Watch it with the Comanche on it. It's fucking fascinating. This movie was great. I love every bit of it.
Likewise. And this is coming, anyone who's heard Yautja Fest throughout all of these movies that I've watched, you'll know that I came into this series with a bit of trepidation because aside from the first couple of movies, the rest didn't really interest me all that much. And it was the law of diminishing returns. This brought me back into this series in a big way. It made me go from Predator, that's kind of ran its course, to I cannot wait to see what Trachtenberg does with Badlands. This is going to be amazing. And every trailer that I've seen of that movie has me more and more, almost to the point where I'm a little nervous now that it can't possibly live up to this hype. But I trust him. I really do.
I do too. I am so looking forward to it. I'm also looking forward to his next film. You should be looking forward to it too. You're going to hear it in 2 weeks. We're going to be talking about Predator, Killer of Killers, the first anthology. How fucking appropriate here on Midnight Viewing of the Predator series. Until then, where can people find you? When they're looking for you, HP? What are you working on? What's going on?
Oh, I'm not far. I co-host the Night Mr. Walters Taxi podcast alongside my erstwhile co-host here, Father Malone.
Hey-o.
I host the Noise Junkies music podcast as well, and I have a Bandcamp site, which is hpmusicplace.bandcamp.com.
As for me, you're listening to it. You're listening all the time. Thank you, everyone, for your listening. By the way, really appreciate it. The numbers have been sort of cuckoo of late. Midnight viewing, we're on Father Malone's Weekly Roundup is on Mondays. We're looking at current streaming, current theatrical. And every Friday here, you're either hearing HP and I talking about a fest, or you're hearing us talk about a horror anthology television series. What are we doing here? Well, this is Yautja Fest. We're wrapping it up soon. Obviously, we're working our way towards Badlands, but fear not, because another fest is right behind it. Over on the Patreon channel, you can listen to Moranis Fest. That's going on right now. That is the Rick Moranis Fest, where HP and I are looking at the cinematic efforts of Mr. Rick Moranis. But starting December, HP and I are going to be taking a cinematic trip through the stars. Jesus Christ almighty. We're going to be taking a look at Star Trek, everybody. Join us for those.